Scammer gets scammed. You ever boot up a game just to feel something? Halo Reach is that game. It's moody, it's intense, it's got heartbreak baked into every mission, sometimes to a fault. But despite all that, or maybe because of it, a ton of people still call it the best Halo game ever made. And with the 15-year anniversary coming up this week, what better time to do a retrospective dive? Bungie went all out for their Halo swan song, from the campaign, to the multiplayer, to the insanely addictive Forge mode. Reach wasn't just another Halo, it was a statement. But if I wanted to feel useless while everything collapsed around me, these days I'd probably just go outside. A few months back I dropped a video ranking all the Halo campaigns, and let's just say some of you were not thrilled with where I put Halo Reach. It didn't even crack my top 3. Yeah, and you guys made sure I knew how wrong I was, like aggressively. There were a lot of great points, but there was also a lot of angry people, and I see you, but it did get me thinking. Was I actually missing something? I mean, I was there day one, I played Reach when it launched, spent hundreds of hours online and in Forge mode with friends, but maybe I overlooked what made it so special. Or maybe it's just nostalgia talking.
No.
Like, is Reach actually that good? Or do some people just have a serious attachment because it was their first Halo? That's what I wanted to figure out. Because the last time I played through this game, it really felt like Reach tried so hard to be emotional, it forgot to be fun. Don't armor lock on me now.
Oh, did you see that?
So in this video, we're diving into why Halo Reach still lives rent-free in so many people's heads, and why some fans swear it's the peak of the entire franchise. We'll break it down mission by mission, talk about gameplay, characters, and the impact Reach had on the series as a whole. I'm gonna do my best not to repeat what I've already covered in my previous video, but I also understand some of you might be tuning in for the first time. We care deeply about these games. That's why we're so passionate about the stories they tell. It's not about being right or wrong, it's about personal preferences. And look, I'm totally open to the idea of being wrong. I just ask that you keep an open mind too, and try to see where we can meet in the middle. Let's drop in. Before we split too far apart, let's just once again appreciate just how great Martin O'Donnell's music really is here. The way it thematically is something completely different tonally than any of the previous Halo games we've played before is so unique. The sound is just really rich and helps define a certain momentum that you're expecting from the beginning. You're introduced to your character, a Spartan who's been more of a lone wolf in the past, joining the squad noble team who are a well-ironed and fueled machine of soldiers that have worked together for God knows how long. So from the beginning, you're the odd man out. And the added addition of you being able to customize your armor to see in real time the campaign cutscenes was absolutely mind-blowing at the time, and it's still pretty fun. I don't know that I picked the best color for this playthrough, but I kinda like the way we're all different shades of blue. You're known as Noble 6, which can be played both as male or female Spartan. It would be nice if I could have picked the armor pieces or anything that I actually unlocked back in the day on the 360 version, but you know, this is probably my second or third version of MCC, and I don't think I'm gonna unlock everything again, so we're stuck with the default look. I lied. But even with all that flexibility, the vibe between the team is already a bit tense.
Cat, you read his file?
Only the parts that weren't covered in black ink.
Before we discuss Noble 6, who are all these grumpy people that are bossing you around? It's important because the characters of Noble Team are the heart and soul of this game. Bungie was trying to prove a point to Microsoft when making ODST, that you don't need Chief to sell a Halo game, and with Reach, they wanted to go even further and expand the battlefield. Tell the stories of lesser-known Spartans who are just as worthy and impactful to the outcome of the war. We've got Carter, team leader, cool under pressure, and all of his dialogue is basically military mouth diarrhea.
I'm Carter, Noble Team's leader.
I just said that. Cat, the brains, numbers, cybernetics whiz, teacher's pet, and Carter's right hand. There's June, sniper specialist, always watching your back, usually from a mile away, or right up close mad dogging you when you first roll up to camp. Of course, Emil. He's got a big knife, and that's it. I'm not even kidding. Bro carved a skull into his helmet once, and now he's the embodiment of testosterone and raw sexual energy of the fandom. I mean, I'm obviously kidding, but we all know that that's kind of true. And finally, George, the sweet baby angel and the only Spartan 2 in the group. He carries the emotional weight and the chain gun, but y'all too busy glazing Emil to notice. There's not much said about you, your file is full of gaps, but that alone kind of speaks volumes and allows your mind to wander and fill in the blanks with the story you'd like your Spartan to have in the back. It strongly suggests you're the one humanity has turned to many times in the past when missions are tough and methods might be somewhat unconventional, which is cool, I guess. We're bad boys. You get a briefing, it's very boring, but I guess it kind of visually shows what the team is and their reservations against you. Then you fly out to this remote area to check why communications have gone dark, because military missions don't really need much more than that for gamers to start foaming at the mouth. It starts out quiet, just a bunch of abandoned buildings and scattered signs of a struggle. Everyone, including command, thinks it might be insurrectionist activity.
Structure point 34 looks clear from this angle.
Did anyone else just see that? But then it escalates. You discover that it's not rebels, it's the Covenant, and they're already on Reach. This is huge, but the encounters you have with them for the most part are pretty tame for what is the beginning stages of an invasion. Honestly, to me, this is the weakest mission as a fan of Reach. It seems like it's aiming for a more grounded military-style reconnaissance vibe, something in the vein of Halo 3's opening, but it ends up feeling more like a scrapped Call of Duty level from that 2010s era for me. If you didn't experience it firsthand, it's hard to convey how dominant the piss filter aesthetic was in games at the time, and how much they started to blur together tonally and structurally. And Halo Reach is no different. This series is known for being very vibrant and otherworldly, and Reach just has this kind of muted, I don't even think it's bad, it's different, and it tonally shifts the focus and feel of the game. But because of that, and because of the dated engine, the graphics do blur together in this kind of nothing design, which I think isn't as noticeable later on in the game when there's more things to look at, but for this opening mission, it's pretty bland. In contrast, the opening missions of Halo CE, Halo 2, and even ODST nailed a sense of mystery and tension through tighter, more claustrophobic level design. That confined feeling created a kind of pressure, an unease that's missing here. Man, George really is a ladies' man.
I never him George.
Shada.
I do appreciate the constant movement from settlement to settlement. It gives the illusion of momentum, but something about it feels undercooked. Maybe it's the age of the game showing, or maybe it's just that knowing how expansive and diverse the level design becomes later on in Reach, this intro feels visually and thematically half-formed. And I'm not saying slow, somber moments can't work. The opening of Aliens is a perfect example in my opinion. A sequel to a famous story that takes its time setting up something that builds off what we already know, but allowing new viewers the chance to still keep up without feeling alienated, giving us just enough without relying on the previous film and story, so when does hit the fan, we feel the weight. A major factor in setting up not only mystery but a sense of isolation is to give the player and audience just enough to wonder and fear for our characters. But I'm not so sure this mission really does that. This marked the first time in the Halo series that sprinting was introduced as a movement mechanic. The sprint duration was short, and for the first time, players could swap their ability out with other armor abilities, allowing for more personalized combat. Longtime defenders of Reach may have forgotten, but the inclusion of sprint caused a major rift in the community. Many felt it disrupted the pacing and altered the flow of firefights, stripping away some of that classic Halo magic. But if you're asking me, all these years later, I don't really mind it, and honestly, I've come to expect it. I understand why some players struggled with the shift, but it never bothered me then, and it doesn't bother me at all now. All that said, there are still very enjoyable moments. The idea that the elites that show up at the end have been tracking you the entire mission is a really clever touch.
What's the status? Over! We've been engaged!
One of those subtle details fans love to off to in the comments of Halo TikTok edits. But that only makes me feel like there's a missed opportunity here for some clues to that. Little cues that make you wonder, are you safe leading up to that moment? I know when I played it for the first time I was like, this is f***ing cool, but when I play it now and I know that it's coming, there's not a lot of sense of tension, and I think that there was possibly a way to build something that feels slightly more horror leading up to that moment. Almost like missions with the Flood in older games. But that's obviously not what they did, so I mean, who cares what I think. I know on Legendary you can find one of these invisible elites before this moment and take them out, but imagine this had been the moment Noble Team is exposed to the Covenant. Imagine the jump scare that would have produced on the player and the story moving forward. That's the thing about surprise attacks. They're usually surprising. It's still fun to fight the elites in this small arena at the level. It doesn't redeem the whole mission for me, but it does lead to a few solid firefights by the end. The first mission sets the tone that you're not just a soldier, you're part of a Spartan team dealing with an escalating alien invasion. Overall, it's a slow burn leading up to bigger things, but sometimes it just burns a little too slow.
Roger that. Dot, stand by to receive and respond.
Yes, Commander.
Swordbase might not be the flashiest mission in Halo Reach, but it's one of the most important, both from a gameplay and lore perspective. It's the moment Reach stops being a slow burn and shifts into a full-scale invasion, and you can really feel that with the instant firefights getting off the ship. It's the mission I had the fondest memories playing with friends for dailies, and I'm not even sure I really realized, maybe not since the first time I played it, just how this mission quietly sets the tone for the fall of Reach and the secrets buried beneath the snow. The DMR really is the standout weapon for this game, not just because of SWAT and other multiplayer modes, but the feeling you get using it in the campaign. An improved idea on the Halo 2 and Halo 3 battle rifle, with just a touch of inspiration of this weapon from the Halo 2 E3 build. It's satisfying and a major factor in your ability to fight off waves of enemy Covenant. I think the full-fledged attack should have started here instead of seeing that many enemy types in Winter Contingency, because it thematically makes sense here in a way that's more fun. And I know ODST technically did it first, but I love the addition of health packs returning to the franchise. It perfectly ties the tech and vulnerability to Chief and Combat Evolved, since they're both sporting similar variants of Mjolnir. Chief has the Mark V in Combat Evolved, while Noble Team has a B variant of the Mark V, indicating the lack of regenerative technology that these early builds had compared to later titles in the franchise. From a gameplay standpoint, I know some people hated this detail at launch since Halo 2 and 3 had done away with this somewhat cumbersome mechanic, but from a storytelling perspective, it's a really neat detail that shows no matter how badass these characters are, there's a real sense of risk, not just for your advancement from mission to mission, but the integrity of the team, and I dig it. Swordbase isn't just another military installation, it's ONI property, which in Halo terms means it's probably housing something secret, expensive, and ethically questionable.
That's suspicious.
Carter gives the usual get it done order. Kat's already calculating 17 different ways to override a security system, and June's probably off screen doing something cool with a sniper rifle, as usual. The first few minutes are a mix of mid-range skirmishes and vehicle combat, which are a lot of fun and have created some of the best memories with this game over the years. You're given just enough firepower to scrape by, and just little enough cover to remind you that the Covenant is now in control. And if you think I was being a bit of a during my thoughts of the first mission, well, you caught me, because I actually think this one's a good one. This has every element of fun Halo brings to the table. It feels like a return to the puzzle pieces of how you would go about getting through different firefights. It isn't just duck your head and slowly pick everyone off. There's a sense of chess play to each encounter, which weapons you use and when, that heavily remind me of that masterful playstyle of Halo CE. Although there is this sense of make a big f***ing circle.
I think I'll do a wraparound.
Before walking all the way back the way you came, fighting for a chance to make it inside Swordbase. You're not just holding off the Covenant anymore, you're protecting something. This isn't a rescue mission at all, it's a containment. The hunter fight here is fine, but the weapons you're given seem a bit mismatched for the encounter, or at least from a veteran player who's used to a different type of gameplay. After navigating your way through elevator systems and meeting up with the rest of the team in the most overplayed multiplayer map in Reach, you make your way into one of the most interesting scenes in the entire game to me.
Your primary objective, Commander, are you a puppet or a Spartan?
So much is said without saying, and it really speaks to the writing here if you're a fan of the series. In 2010, being put face to face with Dr. Catherine Halsey herself was an absolute mindfuck. Yes, that Halsey, the scientist behind the Spartan 2 program and later the creation of Cortana.
Children's minds are more easily accepting of indoctrination. Their bodies more adaptable to augmentation. The result was the ultimate soldier.
I'd spent a decade wondering about this person before this game, the nuance and brutality of her character, the choices she had made that drastically alter the history of humanity and its choices in the coming war. For the average player, this moment might seem like a calm and somewhat boring breather after a repetitive mission, but if you've read the books or watched too many lore videos like I have, there's a lot going on under the surface. Right away, Halsey's attitude stands out. She's not grateful, she's not even particularly polite. The only thing she gives Noble Team, and in return us the player, is an attitude of cold, clinical, and authoritative back-talking.
I'm sure you're familiar with the punishment for civilian interference with the Spartan deployment.
Are you threatening me, Commander?
Are you threatening me, Master Jedi?
It's a reminder that Halsey doesn't really see Noble Team as individuals. She only sees them as tools. Useful, yes, but ultimately expendable. And if the game never made it abundantly clear the first time you played it, remember that piece of tech we found off Shada's dead dad? This datapad is an early step toward what becomes Cortana. Halsey is already thinking ahead, beyond Reach, beyond the war. She's not just looking at the battlefield, which is why she is so disconnected with the fears of the team in front of her. She's playing a longer game involving ancient tech and AI. Not the kind that Mark Zuckerberg wants to steal your Instagram reels with, but true to form intelligence. The fact that she immediately recognizes the artifact's significance, while everyone else sees just a relic, shows just how far removed she's become. Did she create machines, or did she become one herself? What's interesting here is the shift in power. Carter is technically in charge, but Halsey owns the room. As a mission, it's really fun, kinda short in hindsight, and almost as repetitive as the second half of Combat Evolved, but the climax it builds to by the end is totally worth the backtracking. The scene only lasts a few minutes, but it says a lot. It's a reminder that Reach is a battlefield on multiple levels, and we're just getting started. I swear this dude is just aura farming. Nightfall is one of the most divisive missions in the entire campaign of Reach for many players. It heavily insists on you using a sniper rifle, along with some stealth and more creative choices to fight back against Covenant forces in your way. It's always been one of my favorite missions in the game because of its homage to Truth and Reconciliation from the first Halo, and the fact that it's the only mission in the entire series where you fight alongside civilian insurrectionists. Sure, it's cool to get some one-on-one time with June, but the real power of this mission lies in its world building and the flip of the objective from the first mission. You go from hunting down these fractured branches of society to fighting alongside them as allies within just a few days. These are the rebel groups that have been fighting the UNSC for decades. But tonight, all of that is left behind.
Didn't like leaving it to someone else to protect our home, so we came back.
That transition is a genuinely powerful moment. Plus, if this chapter only took place with Noble 6 in June, I think the beats would play a bit too similar to All Gillied Up from Modern Warfare 4.
Follow me and keep low.
It already has a bit of that vibe, but it finds its own footing within the first few rounds fired from the hilltops. However, if you're not a ghost in the shadows or just really f***ing suck at sniping, this is probably your least favorite mission in the game, because it's one of the only parts in the campaign that really leans on that slower, methodical gameplay. Luckily, I play on PC these days. However, the sniper is quite lacking in power compared to previous titles. You're always given a small handful of rounds in Halo CE to land your shots correctly, but in Reach you'll need at least 5 or 6 shots to take down Elite and Legendary, which kinda defeats the purpose of a sniper if I'm being honest. The game offers you the ability to carry more rounds and provides many places to pick up more, but this level is best played on Heroic or below because of this very reason. There is also a decent amount of wildlife along the road that for the time really beautifully padded out the environment of the planet. Except for when you have to fight that wildlife. Sure, you can just run past these D-list rancors, but what's the fun in that? This extra bit of detail really made Reach feel like a real place, more so than any planet we had visited in the series so far. It's got some fun sandbox arenas and plenty of different weapons to switch to for a more close combat experience if you want to go against everything the game is trying to make you do. If I were to have a complaint, it would be that sometimes the enemy encounters do feel a bit sparse to pad out the quiet moments, and I didn't really learn that much about June, aside from this scene.
We have them hidden all over the territory.
You know, this stuff is stolen.
What, you gonna arrest me?
No, I'm gonna steal it back.
It's a quick moment, but I love it, and the attitude that highlights the tongue-in-cheek balance the alliance these characters are choosing to share. The problem I think most have with this chapter is how empty it feels compared to the rest of the game. It feels like a mission that could have had a bit more weight later into the story, or with a better cohesive setup. I know Reach is an unraveling mystery, but sometimes the story beats and deeper meanings that are left hidden are so far in the background the player doesn't always get a chance to notice it. We also haven't had that much time to dissect the date and times that we're receiving at the top of every chapter, and I'm sure a majority of fans never even gave these little updates of information a second thought. Possibly just stacking it up to military games always give the stereotypical 700 hours kind of update. But I think the developers actually had something a bit more hopeless in mind. As the timestamps move forward, you're watching the final hours of an entire world. It's almost apocalyptic. There's a constant sense that time is running out, not just for the characters, but for the planet itself. Each timestamp places the event of the mission in a specific and linear timeline, creating a fear of real-time progression. Unlike other Halo games where the flow of time can feel more abstract, Reach unfolds almost like a war diary. You're watching a planet fall day by day, hour by hour. This mission really does feel like it's leaning into the idea of playing co-op with your friends more so than a solo experience. There aren't any vehicles or massive set pieces that some players expect at every minute of a Halo game. There's just the expectation of playing as a team. But the slow and somber pace this mission has makes it one of the better ones for me. Plus, is there anything cooler than completing it and getting an early glimpse at where you're heading next? Seeing the enemy carriers, banshees, and phantoms inheriting the skyline was just an epic cliffhanger that forces me to keep playing every time.
Incoming!
Might want to hold on to something.
Tip of the Spear has one of the biggest feeling set pieces in the entire game. The UNSC is in full swinging mode, hoping to meet the Covenant in a surprise attack. On paper, it feels like the perfect encapsulation of Reach's war-torn collapse, Spartans deploying into a full-scale conflict, fighting across hillsides, through positions, and underneath looming Covenant structures. It's bold, it's cinematic, and it absolutely wants you to feel like you're part of something massive. But as impressive as the scale is, playing Tip of the Spear doesn't always match that vision. It's a mission that often feels like a highlight reel, moments happening around you but rarely because of you. There's objectives, of course, but it's almost closer to Halo 4 in pressing a button to just get to the next thing. And this is a complaint that could be attributed to almost any Halo game, but having an AI Marine on the turret is the worst ever sometimes. You can switch out your sprint ability for this early stage mimic clone decoy that will walk into enemy territory, distract them, and pull them out from the shadows and into your crosshair. Sort of like a very early idea of the character Mirage from Apex Legends, but I prefer playing this mission as though that option isn't available, because sprinting from vantage point to vantage point is more fun for me. But the jetpack does come in clutch about halfway through. You're moving through large, mostly empty stretches of terrain, occasionally stopping for small skirmishes that don't really evolve. The pacing starts to drag, especially on replays.
Crew's dead, we shouldn't stay here.
And it's honestly pretty short if you cut down the Falcon sequence. You could make the argument that this was intentional, allowing Noble 6 to have a full realization of how serious this event really is. For all the action unfolding around you, you're not always a part of the action, you're watching it. And the things that you are part of, there's plenty of options the game gives you to rush the checkpoint marker along instead of actually playing it the way it's intended. And if you're not going to use exploits to speedrun sections of a Halo game that doesn't feel as fun anymore, are you even really a Halo fan? The sword elite in this Spire can be a mighty pain in the ass if you drop too many grenades and didn't bring the right guns with you. But maybe you can outsmart him, train his shields, or just keep running in a circle praying he never catches up to you. We just won't talk about how often I die here more than once. The mission ends with the destruction of one of the Covenant's anti-air spires. Key objective in the larger operation. It's meant to be a victory, a turning point, but it never quite feels like that because of what comes next.
No, somebody tell me this ain't happening.
UNSC frigate Grafton. Do you copy?
Grafton is dust. We need to get out of here now.
After all that work, a Covenant supercarrier decloaks and appears scraping the UNSC freighter like a bug off its boot. It's pretty damn deflating, but that's on purpose and shows you how the UNSC is way out of their league. Lore-wise, Tip of the Spear is essential. It shows us that the War of Reach is escalating and that even Spartans might not be enough to turn the tide. That's an interesting angle, but in gameplay terms it can leave you feeling like a passenger to this conclusion. A very well-armed passenger, but a passenger all the same. Because I think there's other missions in this game that emphasize this same idea while allowing you to still have fun and be a part of the story. It's still a chapter I revisit from time to time, not for the gameplay necessarily, but for the atmosphere. The sense that this world is being lost in real time and you're just trying to hold the line. You cannot convince me that the opening of Tip of the Spear isn't exactly what every Halo game has been chasing ever since. Not the literal story beats, but the vibe. That sense of being dropped into a war zone where everything is already on fire and your only job is to make sure it doesn't get more on fire. Halo, for all its lasers and power armor, has always had this undercut of being kind of an anti-war piece of media. It quietly questions the idea of authority, obedience, and the cost of that action. And then this scene comes along and kind of throws all that nuance out the window in the most effective way possible. Suddenly I'm like, yeah, actually maybe I do want to join a military-industrial space empire. Which is a weird takeaway from a game about how that sort of thing probably isn't great, but here we are. It's an important step along the way for our characters, but it's also a mission that shows the limits of Halo's storytelling style. When the action and gameplay loop becomes background noise, even the biggest battles can start to feel a little quiet. Long Night of Solace just might be my favorite chapter in Halo Reach. I'm not ready to make that claim definitively, not yet, but from a level design standpoint, it easily has the best pacing in the entire game. Everything that felt like a shortcoming earlier, the uneven beats, the moments that seem shoehorned in, they all come together here in a way that feels earned, deliberate, and honestly masterful. It's like watching a new series with a shaky pilot. You're not quite sold at first, but by the third or fourth episode, you're binging to the finale. That's the energy this level captures. It's the kind of multi-layered experience that only Halo seems to constantly deliver. The opening scene in the cave is so well done.
I know that look, Kat.
You can say no.
No.
You don't even want to hear it?
Fine, I'll hear it.
Beyond the ops jargon, this moment does something really interesting for the Halo universe. It gives us a rare, unfiltered look at the human cost of being a Spartan. Before a single bullet is fired, Reach gives us something rare in a military shooter, a moment of stillness. It's intimate. It's the eyes of the storm, and when that team steps out of that cave, we know, and they know, there's no turning back. The use of lighting is deliberate, each Spartan half lit, half shadowed. It's a visual metaphor for where they are emotionally and narratively, caught between action and consequence, between survival and sacrifice. And for once, the team sees Noble 6 for everything they can bring to the table, because they're gonna need a pilot.
And in which our newest member was certainly never a pilot.
You're scary. You know that.
All we need is a green light from Holland.
Good luck with that.
You're the one asking him.
Well, there's no way in hell he's gonna go for this.
But he did go for it. The opening combat is tight, fast, and grounded. Classic Halo infantry skirmishes against Covenant squads entrenched around the coast. And everything in the skyboxes here is beautiful. You enter the facility and push through a final gauntlet of Covenant resistance inside. After clearing the pad, you're finally granted access to something no Halo game had ever offered before. This is where Long Night of Solace goes from great mission to series standout. The space combat gives you full control in 0G, dogfighting Banshees and other Covenant ships around a UNSC anchor station for orbital dominance. The mission doesn't bog this section down with over-complexity. The controls are intuitive, the targets are clear, and the set piece is pure spectacle. But if you play on Legendary, you're gonna hate yourself. After the orbital fight, you and the UNSC fire team jump into a Covenant Corvette. You're inside enemy architecture now, and this tone shift is something very familiar to past Halo games, but it still feels really fresh. Each room is a mini arena, staggered waves, shielded enemies, elite resistance on a large scale, and with the constant pressure of time. And the bridge really sucks on Legendary or Heroic. Sometimes you can get really lucky with the RNG, and other times the AI wants you to die before you've assassinated a single grunt. But after clearing the room, you make your way back to George to defend the ship and bomb that you've brought as a present. But before you get to blow out the candles, you fight off waves of enemy Covenant as they enter the hangar from all sides. Sometimes in an overwhelming amount, but the music shift here is so memorable, and this is one of my favorite moments to play with friends.
And stay down.
Picking which vantage point you want to shoot at enemies, what weapons to use, because luckily there's enough armor abilities and variants of firepower to back you up for whatever style you're trying to finish this mission up with. There's something about these 3 big beats of the mission that really make it stand out still today. It's undeniably Halo, and somehow the most original sequence Bungie ever put together, a recipe of spices they finally mastered over a decade of trial and error. In any good war story, there's always one soldier who seems to carry the burden for everyone else. The one who's not fighting just for something, but fighting because he's already lost so much. That's George. George is the only Spartan 2 on Noble Team, and that distinction matters. He's a relic of an earlier generation. Stronger, more battle-hardened, and paradoxically more human than the rest. While the other Spartans are professional mission-first operatives, George is emotionally present. He feels the cost of war, and so when the moment comes, I'll just let the scene play out.
I'm gonna have to fire it manually.
That's a one-way trip.
We all make it sooner or later. Better get going, Six. They're gonna need you down there. Listen, Reach has been good to me. Time has come to return the favor. Don't deny me this. Tell him to make it count.
Oh, who the fuck is cutting onions? When George physically picks up Noble 6 and throws him out of the ship, it's more than just brute strength. It's symbolic, a passing of the torch. A Spartan 2 forged from childhood and robbed of agency gives the newer Spartan a chance to carry the story forward. What truly elevates George's sacrifice is that it doesn't work. Or rather, it works, but it doesn't matter. He destroys the Covenant carrier, yes. It's the moment the illusion of control shatters.
Slip space rupture detected.
It's overwhelming, but if you listen closely, you can actually hear an old friend.
Yeah, we're picking up anomalies too. Are you reading it?
Sergeant Johnson on the comms trying to relay any sort of understanding to the madness that's just been unloaded onto Reach.
Slip space rupture detected.
In the end, George doesn't save the mission, he saves the meaning behind the mission. And in war stories, that's the only kind of victory that really lasts. The opening to this mission is a somber one, something you're going to get very used to the further you push into Reach. I think the reason why the game starts to feel really good here is because you, the player, have finally something to fight for. Going off the dates and time, Noble 6 spent 9 days wandering in the wilderness before arriving in the city of New Alexandria. He's injured and only outfitted with a pistol after everything he and George had gone through. It's a really great mission that opens up the world to these large cityscapes that almost have an echo to the vibes of New Mombasa from ODST. The only difference being no one has evacuated yet. The streets are filled with pressing Covenant troops, UNSC soldiers, and terrified citizens. Exodus is where Reach starts punching you in the face on higher difficulties. You start with almost no ammo, and let's not forget the jetpack section. This might be the only mission where an armor ability is the only way to progress in the narrative if I'm not mistaken, and jumping alongside the Bullfrog ODSTs is one hell of a way to switch things up.
Welcome to the Bullfrog. Other side, on my mark.
Enemies are aggressive, but not mind readers. You're forced to scavenge, adapt, and play like a survivor, not a super soldier, and that makes every inch of progress feel earned. Just watch where you're aiming. This is one of the few missions where you see regular people just trying to escape, and no matter how many attempts are made, you'll never be able to save everyone. Honestly, there are moments where you can't save yourself, especially with the suicide grunts charging you from every direction. The AI in this chapter feels noticeably more aggressive than in previous ones, and the limited ammo and fewer combat options force you to adapt on the fly. You're stripped of your power, pushed to the edge, and then slowly earn it back as you fight your way up, both physically and emotionally. Unlike Halo Combat Evolved, where you're up against a single Covenant carrier, here you're facing the full force of the Covenant army. So what does that mean? Brutes. Yeah, I was surprised to see them the first time I played Reach, but their arrival adds a new rhythm to the combat, one that demands bolder, riskier tactics, and keeps you on your toes. In Halo 2, they were more bullet sponge than enemy type, and in Halo 3, they almost felt closer to fighting elites that run at you trying to get their steps in. But in Reach, they seem to have their own motivations and style for combat. Something that feels pretty good. They're definitely the standout here in whether or not you'll move on to the next section, and the game finally feels like it's truly found its footing. The gravity hammer feels a bit weird after a couple years of Halo Infinite, but you get used to it, and it's fun to use still. The Brute's presence turns every encounter into a brutal, dynamic dance that is constantly changing. After crawling through debris, jumping rooftops, and dragging yourself out of the underworld of New Alexandria, there's a moment in Exodus where everything lifts. You're ushered into a Falcon dropship, finally with backup, finally with air support, and for a brief moment, you're no longer clawing your way through the ashes. You're above it all, looking down on the city's flames, watching the sun bleed through the smoke and dust. You see crowds of civilians fleeing behind waves of enemies. At first you're able to give aid, but after a few groups, you're overwhelmed by banshees pressing you from the sky and wraiths on the ground. You can't focus on everything at once, and with all the chatter over the comms, you'll have to pick your targets sparingly before you overheat the turret. The Falcon ride isn't just a change in mechanics, it's a change in tone, and in the silence between the gunfire, you feel the weight of what's happening. You're not winning, you're delaying the inevitable. I do have to say some of the VO acting in this segment doesn't always land for me. Some of the actors feel a bit too monotone or tuned out of the weight in these moments, but it doesn't drive away the point being made.
I can't watch this.
Fox Actual,
Should we send search and rescue birds?
Like, does he even care? There's a small busy work section at the end, getting some auto turrets online for anti-air defense for civilian transports. It's okay, it's not my favorite, mostly because you're being forced to exhaustion fighting off more brutes than you can count. Thankfully, it's fairly short. And finally, for the first time in over a week, you get signs of life from your team.
5, do you copy?
This is 6. Go ahead, Noble 2.
If there's anyone that can find you in a city that literally is burning to the ground, it's Kat. You hold the line, not because it'll save Reach, because it might just save that one more person. And I guess that's enough. New Alexandria is one of the most beautifully cinematic chapters in the game, carrying those familiar visuals and undertones that spark the same feeling I got playing ODST. And while I do think it's a bit fetch questy, and I wish I had more time fighting along the street environment than just inside buildings, New Alexandria is exactly what Tip of the Spear thinks it is. An unfolding impact, ridiculous set pieces, but still allowing you the chance to accomplish something that feels like it matters. Like, look at this Covenant carrier glassing the skyline in the background. Seriously epic stuff here that is utterly devastating. Most of the mission you'll be piloting a Falcon instead of being Ubered around in one for once. You get to go around fighting waves of Banshees, clearing out turrets, and other waves of Covenant, allowing for more ground teams the chance to escape the inevitable glassing of the city. And the other half you're destroying comm jammers to help bridge communication with everyone left alive. The design relies on pure randomness, and it's so fun to see how the level unfolds. I love hearing this small detail from the gunner, and I'm not sure if I've ever caught it before. If you haven't read Contact Harvest from the Halo novels, did that plasma grenade go right through that elite? It might give you a better insight to this moment and how much weight this carries shouting it while the city burns. But if you have read it, you know that's where the war really started with the Covenant. What makes these fetch quests so compelling, and while I find this level particularly fascinating, is that the order of these main comm jammer objectives is randomized with each playthrough. The player doesn't get to choose the sequence, so every run feels fresh and unpredictable. Each time you load this level, it will feel different. The city is always in the process of falling, but the pace and starting point of that collapse changes each time. That's so f***ing cool. It's a subtle detail that often goes unnoticed, but it adds a dynamic, living quality to the city that makes it feel more alive than anything we've seen before. There are engineers here which you don't have to kill if you're feeling a bit weird about it after playing ODST, but if you don't, many of these enemies are going to have an additional layer of shields, making them take forever to kill. So I guess just pop the spaghetti monsters. And speaking of ODST, I also really love hearing from Nathan Fillion's character, Sergeant Buck.
Command, this is Gunnery Sergeant Buck with the 11th ODST, over. Need escort on a classified op. Send someone who knows how to fly tight formation.
Getting to help him and his team escape is such a fun world-building moment. Thematically, this level is exactly the feeling Reach deserves. As much as I can be pretty critical of a lot of the opening half of Reach, by this point in the story, I'm incredibly locked in, reunited with my team just for this to happen. One moment Kat's speaking faster than everyone is sprinting, and the next, she's gone. Killed instantly by a sniper shot without zero warning. A lot of people think this death is bullshit for a Spartan, thinking their armor should have been able to take a few rounds without considering Noble Team was just exposed to an orbital bombardment that burns the planet's surface, as well as knocking out the shields of the entire team. There's no big fight, no last stand, just an acceptance, and that's what makes it so powerful. According to the date, Noble Team sat inside that bunker for 3 days while the Covenant glassed New Alexandria. The dates on the screen are starting to carry more than just a physical countdown. When a character dies, you know exactly when it happened. It's not just a plot beat, it's a recorded moment in history. And then you see just how long it takes for the group to move on from that before they run out of time, and Reach is running out of time.
We got a job to do, so let's stay focused and get it done.
The package is a great level, but it's more of a cutscene info dump than it is a full idea of a mission. The opening is a now extra deep fried sword base, left to the elements, and guess what? We're breaking into this place again. But at least they did give us a Scorpion tank this time. It wouldn't be a true homage to Combat Evolved without a bit more backtracking. And honestly, it's handled really well here. The dramatic visual shift in an area we've come to know so well just highlights how much effort went into redesigning, helping sell the status of Reach before the end. They really went all out and it looks f***ing incredible. But it mostly feels like a walking simulator, showcasing to get to a twist of a story we didn't know was coming at the time.
Looks like they got themselves cornered. Or we're committed to the position.
What are we doing? Is this the end of Resident Evil 2? Yep, there's the train cart. It's Resident Evil 2. I can't deny the first time I played Reach that this was an insane feeling. Descending underground, revealing the Forerunner artifact Halsey and her team had been working with the entire time. There's some bullshit.
The decrypting process is still underway.
That just screams, it's time for Bungie to pad out some minutes with an ODST firefight sequence.
Let's give the doctor the time she needs.
For one of those survival missions on Helldivers. This f***ing ass just yeeted me in the air. Oh. Amazing. I'm fine. And since Halsey is using a 1998 Dell computer to download her LimeWire files, we unfortunately have a little bit of waiting to endure. Yep. We're fighting off waves of Covenant until the game allows us to move forward. There's no timer, no real indicator of how far we're getting other than Halsey giving us a little vague reminder of the status from time to time.
Hold on, Spartans. I'm getting close.
What? There's turrets that need to constantly keep being rearmed that I guess help, but I don't really rely on them. It's fine. I really do love this level with friends because there's more of a feeling to hold the enemy back with everything you got, but the built-in Spartan AI teammates just kind of cower behind the door, so you can just do what I usually do and steal a Wraith and make this section just go a lot quicker.
What is this stuff?
Knowledge.
If that's not lazy writing, I don't know what is. It's a wild ride of revelation, mostly because we get the not-so-subtle reveal that Cortana, our beloved AI, was basically the brainchild of Dr. Halsey herself. It's almost like she casually drops a bombshell and then just walks away. The whole thing kind of recontextualizes Cortana's role in the story, shifting her from this charming, sarcastic companion to this tragic byproduct of Halsey's cold, calculated vision for victory. It's an eerie setup for the game's final mission, where you know things are about to hit the fan, but it also makes Cortana's eventual fate feel way heavier. I'll never forgive 343 for killing her off screen, but that's a battle for a different time. Cortana, in a lot of ways, was never really just ours. She was a tool. I really don't know how she can choose Chief and Noble Six all within the same afternoon, but don't think about it too hard or you'll break something.
Take it, Lieutenant. She has made her choice.
We now have the duty of getting Cortana to the Pillar of Autumn, which, if you've been paying attention, is the UNSC carrier in Combat Evolved, harboring Chief and the rest of our beloved characters from the first game. June escorts Halsey, which ultimately sends him on a series of events that greatly differ from ours. No one knows it yet, but this is the last time Noble Team will be whole, and Halsey's office is also now a big hole. I'm proud of us. We finally made it to the last mission.
Sierra 259. You are alarming me.
Not sure how long she's gonna stay together. Skies are jammed up anyway.
I guess Bungie kills people off screen too. Carter's injuries kind of come out of nowhere. Sure, it's possible he got hit, but maybe close the fucking back door, sir.
6. That AI chose you. She made the right choice.
Again, how did she choose both Noble Six and Chief? I swear, Cortana's for the streets.
Those Covenant fools. They must have known. There must have been signs.
It's a shame Bungie took out that Scarif section of the mission to save time, because now we only get to see them drop as we drive by, and maybe the outcome could have been different. Don't worry, that's just my denial talking. It gives us the most Michael Bay death in the game, but it still goes pretty hard.
Hit 'em on, boss.
You're on your own, Noble. Carter out.
Noble Six and Emil push on with the package, keeping it safe from everything the Covenant can throw at you, and it does throw a lot at you. Nah, I like Emil. I get it now. The clock I keep referring to has finally stopped for you, but it's just the beginning for the Covenant, for Chief, and Cortana, so it's up to you to make up time where you can.
Alright, this is it. I'll man the big gun.
You don't have to hold them all off. You just have to keep them back long enough for the Pillar of Autumn to make their escape, and giving them as much of a chance as you can.
Hold them off until Keys gets here.
At some point in the mission, I hit a flow state, where everything this game taught me finally clicks. I was there. I was giving Keys all I had to clear the landing bay, and as stupid as it sounds, I swear I could smell the rain.
Who's next?
God damn it.
I'm ready! How about you?
Finally, Keys has Cortana, the Autumn needs to leave, and Noble Six refuses the offer to follow along after Emil's incredible sacrifice.
Good luck, sir.
Good luck to you, Spartan.
Manning the gun so the Autumn can get a clear path to leave. It ranks pretty high for me as one of the best moments in the 2010s era of epic gaming. It's poetic and timeless.
Fire now, Lieutenant! Hit her in the gun!
Good guns, Spartan.
And that's it. That's the slingshot that perfectly sends us back to where this franchise started.
Cortana, all I need to know is, did we lose them?
I think we both know the answer to that.
Hearing those classic opening lines, it's a perfect circle, or forgive me, a ring. I do miss the original thank you that you got back when playing the 360 version of this game. It seems Microsoft loves to erase as much as they can of the Bungie nuances in MCC, from the main menus, to the loading screen, to the credits, and to the overall ambiance. It's a small detail that most people may not miss, but I know I do, and that's why my Halo collection has gotten so big again. If Bungie had ended it there, it would have been fine, but they didn't. They gave us something truly special. Noble 6 really is the GOAT. He didn't survive quite as long as some Reddit threads would glaze him to think, but like I said, the clock has stopped. Time's up, but you still got a little more gas in the tank. Ultimately, it doesn't matter canon-wise how long Noble 6 survives. The takeaway is how great of a soldier he or she was right up until the end. So would I change my ranking of this game after going through all of this? I'm not so sure that's something that matters. I definitely appreciate it a lot more after this deep dive. The lows are low, but the highs in this entry are really high. I think this game represents the end of a time where developers really did what they wanted. A bygone era that perfectly visualizes what it was like to tell a personal and original story on a large scale.
Even for you, Kat, that's
Inspired?
not the word I would use.
That ultimately brings it all home from where Bungie started, way back when Apple was producing the first what would be Halo game.
And this is the first time anybody has ever seen it, and we're going to see, for the first time, Halo.
It isn't perfect, but it's so important and really does demonstrate how passionate this team really was right before the end. Maturing is realizing there really is no bad Halo game, just the ones we don't play as much. So let's be thankful that our series, the one we care for from so many different subsections of the fandom, is S tier through and through, because Microsoft is still trying to milk it to death for a reason. Reach is a great game. It doesn't matter how I feel about it. If you watch this far into the video, I think you already know. It's about how you feel. Is it still your favorite in the series? I'll keep playing Halo Reach, and I know you will too. Something inside us will forever want to save not just New Alexandria, but the war from ever really starting. It's a false hope maybe, but it's something worth fighting for. And hey, I did finally get my first unlockable piece of armor for my next playthrough.
I'll be in touch.